Hi, my name is Aldridge, and this is my assessment redesign. Before I get into the assessment itself, I kind of just wanted to introduce a little bit about the assessment that has been redesigned. It is a unit math test. The assessment tests students' knowledge of 2D shape recognition, their understanding of shape attributes, and positional words. The assessment is normally provided one-on-one as a traditional paper assessment. This is what the traditional assessment normally looks like. What listening to them recognize shapes, tell about the shapes, and using those positional words with the pictures. So the digital assessment has been redesigned to be taking on Kahoot as a small group assessment with students answering the questions on their own device. So let's go ahead and get into that assessment. So for student access, the first thing that would be shared is this screen here where students can go in through Kahoot that can be accessed through their Clever account, which is a online access tool that our district uses where kids can find the safe online instructional tools that can be used. And then they would put in this code with their name. So before we get into the enhancement features, I wanted to go to the Kahoot itself. So um, as students, when they go to take the Kahoot, their screen would look a little different. However, when I go to host it, I will hit what I'm playing. I can assign a Kahoot, host it live, which is what I will do. But I'm going to hit practice so that I can see it as students would. So once they are logged in with the code, they would put their name in. So I will add my name, and then they would go and start the game. So throughout the Kahoot game, one great thing about Kahoot is that it allows the students instant feedback, which is one of those enhancement features. So I would read, what is the name of this shape? And then we would pick the name of the shape, triangle, circle, rhombus, or square. And of course, students would pick their best answer. And of course, here it will be a circle, and they're getting that instant feedback here. They're also earning points as a game, so it's really enhancing that engagement piece. Kind of shows, and it also allows a little bit of competition, so they're really trying hard and taking their time. They're not just hitting an answer once again. I'm reading the question, what is the name of this shape, and then hitting the correct answer and giving them that instant feedback that yes, that was the correct answer. However, if they were to click the wrong answer, of course, it would also tell them it was wrong, but then show them the correct answer of what the shape was, which is one great thing about Kahoot, that it's giving those students that instant feedback. So as we go through all the questions, students are answering all the questions about the shapes, continuing to show the points that they're earning. Um, Kahoot really makes this more like a game. What is the name of the shape? It is a hexagon. And then we transfer into describing the shape. So how many sides does this shape have? And over here, it actually allows the time that students have. So they're given a minute per question, which I can alter this for, my kids that might need more time. And one good thing about the picture is it allows the kids to actually count how many sides there are to the shape here so they can answer that question. And then it also is going to ask how many corners does the shape have, so the students can use their mouse and count, really enhancing that media here with the picture and allowing them to use um, the resources of the picture instead of just asking the question and not having the picture to help assist them. Same thing with the square. How many sides does a square have? And of course, we would say that the square has four. also encouraging them here, since this is an individual practice, it just gives random names. But if this was taken as a whole group, you would see, not if they were getting the answers correct or incorrect. Other students would not be able to see that. The teacher would. However, it would show how many points they're earning, creating that competition as a fun game. And then how many corners does a square have? A square has four corners. How many sides does a triangle have? A triangle has three sides. And once they answer the question is over for them. But if there's still a whole minute left, they will be waiting before they go on to the next question. It goes on to the next question altogether. How many corners does a triangle have? They have the ability to count how many corners, one, two, three, and then answer the question. Another enhancement tool with using Kahoot is that it allows the ELL learners to be able to see what shape you're referencing. How many sides does a circle have? Well, they have that tool, that visual tool, and they can count. They can use it to their advantage in their understanding what shape you're talking about, not just using the words and asking a question. How many corners does a circle have? And of course, with the traditional assessment, with it being one-on-one, you're enhancing that um, time and instant feedback with students as well with using Kahoot versus using it one-on-one and it taking longer. So how many sides does a triangle have? Triangle has four sides. One other great thing I like about Kahoot is the answers are very simple. How many corners does a triangle have? Students can see the numbers, but I am also able to read the answers to them. Does it have three, four, zero, or five? And then, of course, students will choose their best. Although that this is a great assessment tool, this assessment is designed for kindergartners, so it is going to be an assessment tool that will take practice. So where is the object located? Behind the table, above the table, beside the table, or below the table? And of course, once again, if they get the wrong answer, it tells them that it is wrong. That was a great try, but the real answer was above the table. So they're also understanding what they are missing, and it also shows the teacher what they are missing too. So where is the object located? Behind the table, above the table, beside the table, or below the table? In here, it would be below. Same question, where is the object located? Different picture. And we can see that the boy is either behind the table, above the table, beside the box, or below the box. And he is beside the box. And this is really easy for students to submit also. They just continue to hit the next button and turn it in. And then at the end, when the game is over, it automatically turns it in. Where is the object located? Behind the box, above the box, beside the box, or below the box? And the boy is behind the box. One thing that I used to help the kindergartners when taking online assessment tools is trying to keep the answers in somewhat of the same order so they know ahead of time maybe where that answer needs to be rather than moving them around. Where is the object located? Behind the box, in front of the box, next to the box, or below the box? And of course, the boy is in front of the box here as well. And then where is the object located? The object is located behind, in front, next to, or below. Once again, these were the same order as the last question, and the answer is next to the object. And then once again, it tells them what their score is and who came in first, who came in last, or who came in third, second, and first, showing who won the game. And this is just a great assessment tool for for students, and it's, showing how many points they earned. And of course, this is something that they love, knowing how many points they earned, and it will automatically turn this in, and then the report will show up here for the teacher to look and see exactly what questions were missed, who missed these questions, and what was the answer that they selected. So maybe if it was the square answer, which shape is this, and they clicked a rectangle, you can see that maybe that misconception the student having is that between the difference between a rectangle and a square. So once again, like I discussed, some of those enhancement features are that Kahoot can offer students that digital assessment of being engaged. Kindergartners really need that engagement when it comes to assessments, that attention span. It can struggle to be there. It's multiple choice. It allows students options. Maybe they have no clue if you're just pulling up the picture. Sometimes, especially your EL learners, they don't know what the option is in English, but they can try their best, or at least maybe narrow down their questions with multiple choice. It's offering that multimedia aspect and that instant feedback, which I think is great for kindergartners to know and understand. And then that is all I have for my assessment. Like I said, when students come to turning it in, it's super easy. It automatically turns it in for them. It's viewed as a game rather than a test, and students are really working hard and participating rather than having all the extra stress that they would need when it comes to other assessments. So overall, this is my traditional reassessment design. Thank you.